This is the third part of popular Docker interview question series. Following given questions will be addressed in this video. But before starting this video, do check out our first and second part if you have not watched them. Now our first question is, are the container logs stored inside a container or in a host server? And what is the location of the container logs? Let's try to find its solution in real time. Here I am on my command line terminal. First of all, let's list the running containers. Docker ps-a. You can see test1 is running from last 32 seconds. Let's see the logs for this container. Docker logs test1. So as you can see, these are the logs from test1 container. Now let's stop the container and check the logs again. Docker kill test1. Docker ps-a. So this container is stopped now. Let's check the logs again. Docker logs test1. We have stopped our container, but we are still able to see the logs. It means container logs are not stored in container. Now the second question is how to find the location of this log. So for that we can use docker inspect. So docker inspect test1. Let's go up. Yep. So here you can see this is the log path. So this is the path where my container logs are stored. Let's see the content of this log file now. So guys, these are the same logs which we got from docker logs command. And if you see these log lines closely, then you will find that all the logs are in JSON format. Let's say for this line, this is my log content and the stream is standard output, and this is the time when this log was generated. Moving on, next question is a scenario based question. Here I had 10 containers running on my host server, and all these containers stop when I reboot my system or I restart my Docker engine. Then I need to manually restart my containers. So is there any way to auto restart the containers in this scenario? There are different kind of restart policies available in Docker which are mentioned here. Here the first one is restart on failure. This policy is useful in case you want to start your container which is failed because of some error. Second policy will restart your container in all the situation, and this is the policy which is suitable for our use case. And the last policy is similar to your second policy, but the only difference is that it will not restart your container on Docker Engine restart. Now guys, let's demonstrate this policy in practical. So for this demo, we will start a container with enabled auto restart policy. Then we'll go inside the container and kill it. And at the end, we will verify whether the container got restarted or not. First, let's start the container. Docker run -itd hyphen restart, and I'll use the always policy, and let's give it a name test1, and we will use alpine image. Let's start it. So now my container is started. We can see the created time is 8 seconds and uptime is 7 seconds. Now let's get into this container. So docker attach. Now let's exit the container to kill it. At the end, let's verify the status of this container. Docker ps. So here you can see created time is 55 seconds, but the uptime is 23 seconds. It means our restart policy is working as expected. Moving on to another scenario based question, consider that developers create multiple test containers in the dev environment during the development, which causes a lot of disk space issues, and at the end manual cleanup is required. So is there any way to automate this cleanup process? To address this scenario, we should make use of remove flag when we start the container, so that Docker can take care of auto cleanup when container exits. Let's see it in demo now. I will start Docker events in my upper tab so that I can get live log events. Docker events. In the lower tab, I will start a container with remove flag. Docker run -itd -rm name will be test1 and image will be alpine. Here you can see in the Docker events, my container is created and started. Now let's kill this container. Docker kill test1. From the logs we can see as soon as our container was killed, it got destroyed. Let's verify the same in lower tab. So docker ps-a. You can see there is no running or stopped container available here. So we can assure that using remove flag, cleanup can be done automatically. Moving on to our next question. So is it possible to use restart policy and remove flag together when we start a container? One thing to notice here is that you can answer these kind of questions only if you have really worked on it. As we have already used restart and remove flags in our previous questions, so let's try to start a container by combining both of them. So here I am on my command line terminal. Let's try to start the container using both the flags. Docker run -itt -rm -restart always -name test1, and image will be my Alpine image. We can see this message from Docker saying conflicting options. Obviously, because restart and remove cannot be used together. Because restart will try to start a container as soon as it will stop, and remove will try to remove the container as soon as it is stopped. Moving on to our next question. This is very popular Docker interview question, and here you might be asked how Docker really works behind the scene, or how namespace, cgroup, and union file system is used for running a Docker container. First of all, you should be aware that these are very popular and very old Linux kernel features which were already there even before Docker came into picture. So let's understand what is namespace. So namespace is responsible for providing isolation when you run multiple containers on your host machine. And there are different type of namespaces which are implemented in Docker. Those are process ID, network, user, file system, and so on. Next is our C group, or called control group. This is responsible for managing your resources or limiting the resource utilization in each container. There are different resources that C group can manage inside the container, and those are your CPU, memory, network, and block input output. Now next is our union file system. So this is a file system service in Linux which is responsible for creating Docker image layers, and this is the reason we can use same image to spin up multiple containers, and we don't need to duplicate the same image whenever we run a new container. Moving on to next question, which is a scenario based question. Here I want to clone a GitHub repo, but I don't have GitHub utility installed in my local system. Although Docker is running in my system and a Git image is already available. So considering this scenario, how can I clone my repo? So we should approach to this problem in following ways. We will make use of available Git image. Along with that, we will use bind mount to mount our host directory inside the container when we start our container. And while starting the container, we will issue git clone command so that our container can clone the repository inside that directory. Now let's do it in practical. Here I am on my command line. I will mount my /mnt inside the container. First let's see what is there inside the /mnt directory. So my /mnt is empty now. And as already mentioned in problem statement, I should already have a git image installed. Docker images. Yeah, so Alpine Git image is already there. I will make use of this image. Now let's start the container to clone the repository. Docker run -it -v /mnt, and I will mount it to git directory inside the container. Then my image name, at the end clone, and repository URL. Let's run it. So now cloning is started and it's done. Now let's go inside the /mnt folder in my host. As you can see here, git directory is created. If I go inside the directory, now we have successfully cloned the given repo on our host machine. Similar to this, you might be asked some other questions as well, like curl, wget, or some other utilities not installed on your host machine. Then how you can make use of Docker in those scenarios. That's it for this video guys. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content, then do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.